Hi, Instagram. We've got an error occurring here on StreamYard. But welcome on Instagram. All right, it's not letting me go live. What's happening? An error occurred. Wait a moment, try again. Okay. I'll do that. An error occurred again. Goodness gracious, we might have to go live only on Instagram today. All right, Instagram, stand by. Thank you for being patient here. Oh, live. It says we're live. StreamYard, can you hear me live? Oh, yeah. Okay, I got people coming on. Excellent. Okay, don't hit end just yet. Let me get everything set back up here. All right. So you can see my eyes. What's up, Peter and Joe? I see you guys coming in. All right, Instagram, I apologize. This last minute fuddling with technology and my camera's here. I can't see your comments anymore. So I'm happy that you're here, Instagram. And for those of you joining me on StreamYard, I will be able to see your comments. All right, let's open this show one more time. Right, Peter? As they say in Hollywood, take two. The records are now open. How y'all doing after the eclipse, by the way? This energy is no joke. I'll be honest, it's rocky in my world right now. I did a terrible job this morning of keeping the peace in my household with my teenagers. And while I could tell you the story, I'm actually not even going to tell you the story because I'm not very proud of myself. But whatever version of the story that I told you, I guess that's really the key point, right? Whatever version of the story I told you, I can make a spin on this story, a very legitimate spin. I think if you have teenagers out there, by the way, let me know if you do have teenagers out there. We can commiserate. It's very easy to create a story, a legitimate story around why the teenagers are triggering me. And that's not where the work is done, especially after these powerful energies like the eclipse that tend to shake things up, let us see our own patterns. Anytime you're triggered, whether it's legit or not, whether you're being triggered by very legit triggerers, like teenagers, mother-in-laws can be very legit triggerers as well. I need to put very legit triggerers in my made-up word glossary. But you guys following me? It doesn't matter, even if you get triggered by a very triggerable person, it's still your own shit. And so that's what I really want to tell you guys about is that I'm proud of is I'm able to look at it, see aspects of my own patterning that get to shift and change, but it's not very pretty. I mean, I don't want to be an asshole to my kids. Thank you, children, for being my teachers this morning. But that's what the eclipse looks like in my world. We'll get down to business about how it looks in your world. If you're new here, please introduce yourself once you get here. Let me know where you are tuning in from. And let me also introduce myself to you. If this is the first time you're joining, I'm Emily Harrison, founder, director here inside the Akashic Academy. The Akashic Academy is a modern day mystery school specializing in training in the Akashic Records, which are the realm of consciousness that hold all information forward and backward through time, recorded from a neutral perspective. This is universal consciousness, the mind of God. If you grew up Christian or religious like I did, I grew up very Southern Baptist, this realm of intelligence is referred to in the Bible as the book of life. And I don't know if that is in and of itself enough to fascinate you, the ability to tap into universal consciousness. And the cool thing about the Akashic Records is we can get information. We tap in, we ask questions, we download information. When I was a kid, my parents had the collection of Encyclopedia Britannica, and I was fascinated with this collection of knowledge. I didn't really even know how to use it. I think I trained myself a little bit in how to use it. Maybe I even just used it randomly now that I'm telling you the story and remembering where I just pull things off the shelf. But I was fascinated with knowledge. And if that's not fascinating enough that we can tap into the universal consciousness, ask questions and download knowledge. I think it is. You can ask questions about everything that you've ever wanted to know. One of the first things that I ever asked was about how the pyramids were made. Not made. Well, I guess made. Created, moved into place, sculpted, erected. That's a nice word. But what I find that's even more important than solving these great galactic and earth mysteries is the mystery of you, the mystery of me, the quest for self-knowledge. And every single detail of your life has been programmed. I shouldn't say programmed, let me say recorded. Actually, programmed is the wrong word. Oh my God. I would definitely need to take 2 on that. Because you have free will, you get to choose. So all the possibilities of what you choose are recorded in the space of the Akashic Records, in addition to everything that you've chosen in the past. How do I use the Akashic Records I just realized I left a box out there in the corner. It's the box of one of my extra lights. Get that off the set. So how I use the Akashic Records this morning to examine my own assholery. First of all, I got to cut myself a break. I got to own up to the fact that I could have done better. Well, could I have done better? I mean, I don't know. I did the best I could in the moment. I want to do better. How about that? I can own the fact that I want to do better and that I missed a mark for myself. And then I can get curious rather than judgmental. I have gotten a little judgmental here, calling myself an apple. But I can get curious about, okay, where is that coming from? And the guys instantly show me my nervous system, and then they trace back actually to the beginning of this week where I haven't been properly caring for my nervous system. All right, so, and why? All right, so that's how the Akashic Records can work. And I want to share that with you all here today. So I want to encourage you to ask questions. I already see my chat box lighting up with questions, so thank you. Even if I don't get to your specific question today, ask it anyway. And pay attention for the answer. You are in a sacred space of intelligence. Your calling that forward will bring it about in your life, and you will be able to find it if you're paying attention. So I want to invite you to pay attention. I also want to encourage you to receive answers to your questions through the channeling that might be coming through for somebody else. If it feels like it's resonating, it's making a difference for you, that is a message specifically for you from your guides. Okay? All right, we're going to jam for about the next 30 minutes here together. Before we get started, I do have a few announcements. I want to cordially invite you all to join me tonight. I'm going to be collaborating with Cryon, one of my great role models and teachers through my own journey. So it's really exciting for me to be invited to collaborate on Healing Wednesdays for something very, very special for you all. Following this eclipse energy, activating the archetype of the magician. I've left you a link. If you're on StreamYard, you're going to find the link in the comments here. I do want to share with you that this broadcast is part of the paid subscription for Cryon. And as a free gift to you all, my audience, there's a code there so you can get an entire month's free. You can not only join us for the live broadcast happening at 6 p.m. tonight, but you can also catch the replay if you can't join us live. And you'll get the whole month. So you'll not only see me, but there will be some other amazing healers, teachers, speakers that are coming forward to share that Cryon, that Lee and Monica have hand chosen to come forward and share with their audience. So I want to make sure you're invited to that. I also want to let you know our excursion into Mount Shasta, into the vortexes of Mount Shasta for advanced training, as we are harnessing the galactic energies of Lionsgate. That happens every August. It is ridiculous. We do CE5, contact with our extraterrestrial friends. We're going to be studying sacred symbols. You will participate in advanced level activation and rituals of the ancient masters. The purpose of this excursion is to activate activate the energy within your DNA that is aligned to your highest timeline and your soul mission here on the planet. Big things will shift and change in your life, not only on this trip, but after this trip. Really, it's an absolute game changer. And we're going to be having an informational meeting about that Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So I've left you the Zoom link there too. You don't have to sign up for anything there. Just grab that Zoom link and mark it on your calendar. All right, so I'm going to get into your questions right now. Thank you all so much for sharing. Trigger ease. Yes, Peter, the trigger ease in our life. All right, do me a favor. As we get started here, let's rally up in the house. Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen. Say hello to me. I got to put my glasses down a little bit further on my nose because I got my extra long lashes on today. And they're hitting the edge of my glasses as I push them too close to my nose. All right, let's rock and roll here. Tracy Warren, speaking of erected, LOL, my eclipse energy and journey the last year has been landing me to cam modeling adult entertainment for the first time now at 37 years old. Obviously, lots of societal conditioning I've been filtering through, so that has been confusing. If my guides have anything about that, I would love to hear. Wow, Tracy Warren, kick off the show for us today. All right, let me tap in here. See what the guides have to say. The guides are definitely acknowledging that there are lots of energies shifting on our planet. Actually, it's the nature and the essence of the shift and the evolution that we're experiencing right now is shifting back into a state of balance of the masculine and feminine energies and healing these archetypes. Both of these archetypes are very wounded. The adult entertainment industry, I'm just getting chills through my whole body, is an industry that has been both detrimental to the cause and healing to the cause. What does that mean? Detrimental to the cause. Oh, it's similar to how I was talking when we first came on. What's up, Alyssa Omega? And I was sharing with you my personal experience from this morning. We weren't necessarily talking adult entertainment. We're talking adulting, though, and parenting. But I could tell this story from a lot of different perspectives and angles, right? Adult entertainment and the, I don't even know whether to call it the objectification of sexuality, specifically women a lot in that industry, but not totally, just women, right? Or is it like a freedom and a liberation? It's really interesting. I'll be honest, I checked out the Penthouse documentary. I'm fascinated from a very objective perspective of how this imbalance of masculine and feminine energy is playing out. Now, while there's shadow energy and a lot of healing, hurt, pain, trauma that is being worked out and expressed and maybe even caused, not maybe, being caused by that industry, I also think that there are people who are finding healing through that. And that's one of the 7 Hermetic principles, is that we can find, or every energy expresses through different octaves. So it can express in its lightest octave, or it can express in its shadow. And Tracy, if this is a life path that you're following right now, there are lessons for you to learn on this path. And I can see how some of them can be very liberating and some of them can be just damn challenging. Just invite everybody to hold, and I think this is also how we should support each other. Just invite everybody to hold space for Tracy on that journey. Right? Let's see what else the guides want to say. They want to bring in an activation of the third eye. Third eye in the nervous system. We just did this. Where did this come through? It's coming through a little bit different. Oh, in my masterclass yesterday with my Akashic Records students, Hathor came in and did an activation, although I feel like it's coming through from a slightly different perspective today. So what I'm noticing coming in is upgrade of vision that allows us to see more dynamically, so we can see different sides of that scale, that we can understand that Hermetic principle You can see it playing out in your life. That's how humans learn the best is we go, oh, duh, because we're experimenting with it. Oops, excuse me, Yeti. Right there in our life, right? So this vision activation is going to allow you to see opposite range. Does that make sense? So you're not only going to see your perspective, you get to see others' perspectives as well, or the opposite perspective. All right, if you want to receive that third eye activation, just say yes. I'm sending the Om frequency, primordial frequency of sound and creation into the third eye right now to open up your vision. All right, the second part of this activation is working on the nervous system, and I'm just going to use the tuning fork in my field here, which, by the way, I'm learning from my mom who's studying tuning forks. This is a tuning fork specifically. It's called a weighted tuning fork because it's got the bells or drums on the end here. And this is specifically used for the body. I am cheating right now. Technically, I'm a bit of a rebel. I'm using it to clear the field, representing our nervous system. But there are other tuning forks that are technically better suited for clearing your field. They don't have the drum on the end. Good. Yes, Chris, I see you. Tracy, I see you. Yeah, and if you don't feel like you are directly working with your own sexuality and your own sexual energy right now, well, you might start seeing it if you said yes to that activation. But if you don't feel like that is directly related to you, I'm going to invite you into a space holding role and hold space for tolerance and non-judgment as we're all going through a process of clearing and healing. Okay, can I get some amens up in here? All right, Tracy, I totally relate to these themes, feeling guided to shine a light into the darkness and also feeling the triggers of the shadows. Yes, and thank you for being a light worker who's going into those front lines. All right, Alyssa Omega. That's funny. I feel like, remember the neighbor who's peeking over the fence in Instagram? You guys are going, what the heck? Alyssa Omega, I'm so happy to be working with you, and your questions are so amazing in masterclass. I'm definitely taking your question on the air. All right, my question would be in reference to one of our co-parents who is acting out, currently lying about me to the courts in order to attempt to gain more of a 50-50 schedule with my oldest. I'm honestly open to allowing it and just agreeing to change. But my biggest issue is not wanting to validate his approach. Yes. Okay. Should I agree to change the schedule? Okay. I'm gonna take that down so that I can see and drop it again. I'm gonna keep my glasses on though here. All right, so let me just drop in. Okay, the first thing is ask your guides to show you from a different perspective. Okay, here's the information building on itself like it tends to do. Because what you're saying is super valid, and I feel that it's super valid. But if you ask to be seen from another perspective, you might be able to find some other nuances of energy. For example, you might see areas where he's really hurt, and this is his mechanism for protection when he's freaked out and scared. And you can have more compassion for that. So just that step one is ask just how you can see as much of this differently as possible. I think you're already tapping into it there when you say, honestly, you're open to allowing the change. Tap into, use your records, Alyssa, tap into how you can best support your son and see what would best support him. That's a bit of a cheat mechanism because we can only open the records of those we have permission for. But you have your own permission, and anyone that you're connected to, you can get information. So ask what's in his best interest. And his best interest might well be to be connected with his father more right now, maybe for good things, maybe for soul challenges that they did a handshake agreement before they got here to learn. And you just get to let them learn them. Okay? Is this making sense? And if you're not Alyssa and you're getting goodness from this, please let me know. Please let me know what's landing for you in the comments. All right, you asked some more questions there. Hang on, let me get the glasses back on properly. Should you agree to change the parenting schedule? I would ask the records first and then see how you feel. Remember, how the body feels is very important. So check in with how the body feels. Okay. And then there was one more overarching theme or lesson that the guides wanted to speak about here. I've lost it at this moment though. So let me just read one more time and it can remind me. Oh, yes. Actually, it's kind of two things. One, gentleness. Gentleness is the key to power right now. So even standing up for ourselves, all of that stuff is really important. I tend to be an overfighter, an overstander, upper for myself. Yeah, don't get me started. And I'm really exploring power through gentleness right now. And I feel like the divine feminine accesses the vast majority of her power through that. Not that we don't need those moments of fierce roaring and that lioness coming out, but you know, not that over dramatic soap opera shit that I was pulling this morning, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, so that's one, is gentleness. And the other thing is recognizing that our feelings and thoughts about a situation can influence a situation. Yes, there's still free will that's happening, but our thoughts and emotions will influence what happens in the future. The future is undetermined until we experience it. So there's always wiggle room to experience in our future. So that's why you want to be, especially the more awake you are, the more mindful we want to invite ourselves to be, to stay present to thoughts and emotions, because we're creating in every moment. This morning, when I was cleaning up on aisle 4, I was creating some shit that I'm going to have to deal with. Well, okay, I'll say that. And I was creating some shit that I will have to deal with. And then I dealt with it instantly. I saw where my patterns were. I took ownership of it. I apologized to my kids. So in that sense, I'm absolving the karma that I'm creating right there in that moment and up leveling. And you better bet when my higher self says, I want to be more gentle, I want to be more kind, I want to be more peaceful, I'm going to get an opportunity to practice that in a triggered moment very soon. And hopefully I don't forget this moment when I said, Girl Scouts honor, I want to do better, right? But that's what the process generally looks like. Okay. Alyssa, yeah, one more thing here. You said so basically, don't make my decisions based on trying to control or validate his decisions. Yes. Just do what's best for my son. Correct. Yeah, because you wanting, oops, Aaron, I clicked up to yours, but I'll go to yours there. So you wanting to control or validate or have any entanglement in that way is what the guides are saying is, I mean, it's natural, right? Because when we connect with other beings in that way, whether, and this goes whether you have sex with somebody, whether you have children with somebody, whether you get married with somebody, and there are even other ways that we can create those connections, right? But once we create those karmic entangling connections, we will still feel an indication to work on, like, you know, like it's almost like instinctually we'll feel like that because that's the role we played in that relationship. Cool. All right, so let me see. The guys are like, hey, yeah, same activation. Vision, so that we can see from this higher perspective, and then relaxation for the nervous system. So what that nervous system part of this activation does is actually calms us down and gives us some spaciousness where we can choose differently. So I guess they want us to do a second round of that one. So round 2 of that medicine, if you're receiving round 2 into your third eye, just type yes into the comments for me. Good, and I'm going to do the clearing of the field for the nervous system. Good. Val says my microphone is distracting. Well, it is very erect here, isn't it, Val? And I will also say, I'm happy that you're here. What's triggering you about that? I'd lean into that because that's how I operate. All right. Aaron says, my question is about current challenges I am experiencing in my relationship. Will we be able to grow and evolve together? Back to the idea of the future exists in infinite possibility. So Aaron, until you actually get to that point, there's a possibility for it, and it could also derail. All right. So if you want the current relationship to evolve and you do want to grow together, then what we would ask is, how do I best grow and evolve in this relationship while maintaining the highest frequency of joy? Actually, I take that back. I'd ask that question regardless of whether you want the relationship to continue or whether you don't want the relationship to continue. Because that question is going to call forward the intelligence either way. Because there's an evolution being asked of this relationship either way. Make sense? Yay, Aaron says, I adore that. Okay, great. And it is very important for you to know what you want first. I would encourage you to really get truthful with yourself and say, what do I want? What do I want? Because a lot of times we're not actually making that decision from a place of true desire. We're making it from trauma, what we think is right, safety. All right, so the guides for this one to clear. If anybody has a big decision that they need to make about moving forward, whether it's with a relationship with another person, or maybe it's your work. A lot of people are shifting jobs right now. I want you to type yes in the comments. The guides are bringing in a clearing in the sacral. This is where we store unprocessed emotion. Yeah, say yes. I'm using my tuning fork to clear out that energy. And when we clear out unprocessed emotion, we can truly see more clearly. So I can definitely see how this activation is supporting the vision activations that we did. If you are heavily charged with emotion, emotion distorts the field. Emotion is a water element. Imagine looking at the bottom of a very clear lake, or from the top down to a really clear lake or a swimming pool. You see the ripples, you see the sun. There's a distortion. You're not seeing reality. So clearing those emotions out, and we can ask ourselves what we truly want and desire. That's important to know. And you might unravel some issues there with not feeling comfortable, not feeling safe. If anybody is experiencing that, feel free to reach out to me. There's work that can be done to untangle that. I don't think we can do it here in our last couple of minutes together, but there's definitely work that can be done if you start pulling the thread and you're like, oh shit, I got some more stuff here. Just reach out to me. Oh, good. Aaron says, yeah, wow, what a potent metaphor. Cool. So we've got to figure out what we want first. There's one more piece in there. Oh, here's another way that the Akashic Records can be used. You can ask about what kinds of lessons or experiences would you have if you stayed together with your person, or you stayed in the job that you are currently in. What kind of lessons would you experience if you did something different? And what likely would happen is the guides would reveal to you both positive things and the challenges, because there's going to be both on either road that we're on, right? But see, these are ways that we can use the Akashic Records to help inform decision making. It comes into your mind and imagination, it flows into your body. We receive the intelligence from the Akashic Records from a lot of different ways, which, again, I'm not going to go into how that process works, but do want to remind you that what I have just done for you, tapping in and channeling and sharing perspective, you can learn to dial your mind into universal consciousness so you can get this kind of perspective 24/7 in your life. I think that's how we were designed to be. And what an exciting time to be here on the planet, where we get to return and step back into that. So thank you all so much for joining me. If this has been valuable for you, I'm going to ask that you share it out. The more of us that awaken to our innate intelligence, The more of us that get a leg up on this self-knowledge thing and begin to do the transformation from the inside out, the faster and better we're all going to get at it. And guys, we're headed for something really exciting. Human potentiality is mind-blowing. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're part of the rise. All right, remember, Cry On tonight live, 6 p.m. If you're on Instagram, check out Linktree. If you're on StreamYard, scroll to the top of our comment flow here and you will find a link and a code where you can get a free month. And remember, we got a Shasta. We're gonna have a casual, intimate conversation about what goes on in Mount Shasta next Monday. So I left you a link for that too if you want to join. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you next time.